We all get consumed by something. Film, music, a good book, perhaps even that new healthy lifestyle. Well, on Consumed, we talk to people about what's consuming them. So, let's get consumed. Hello, and welcome to Consumed. This week we're going to be consuming Ciarán Owens. Hello, Ciarán. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Would you like to tell everybody how we know each other?
Yeah, well, we first met probably, I want to guess that I was probably around 13. Is that fair? 13, 14?
I think so. I was in year 11.
And you're 3 school years out of me, I think is.
Yeah.
So you do the math.
Yeah.
And we first bonded waiting to be picked up by our respective mums. I feel like outside school after we were doing, on separate teams, I hasten to add, inter-house drama competition at school. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we did school plays and became mates through that first, really. And then...
Yeah. Do you not remember the first thing you said to me when you came over to me?
I approached you like a fan, didn't I?
Yeah.
Is that what you want? Yeah.
Do you not remember what you...
Go on.
Yeah. You approached me like a fan, but you said, I like your Welsh accent.
Oh, yeah. It was very good, to be fair.
Thank you. I was going to do it then, but I actually couldn't remember how to do it.
And the rest is history. Then we were half of a funk band for a while, a few years, which was really fun. But we're just really good mates, and yeah, that probably sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, we bonded at school over doing like plays and stuff, didn't we? And have been really close ever since. Yeah, just been good friends ever since.
Yeah.
When we were in the funk band, I used to drive you everywhere because you didn't have a driving license.
Well,
I was like your chauffeur.
Or a driver. Your chauffeur. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I always sat in the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always sat in the back.
And you always had a bottle of water ready. Yeah,
absolutely, every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had, if I remember correctly, is that the same car you had a sticker of Paul Scholes on the back?
Yes, I did have a sticker of Paul Scholes. Yeah. I don't think I put that there. I think our friend Chris Gunter put that there. I can't quite remember, to be honest with you. Good. Well, thank you for coming on the show. What did you have for dinner?
For dinner, we had vegan sausages and mash. Though absolutely, partly because it's in Badger, but also just because that's what we fancied. But also, what was an absolute nightmare was made the mash. Halfway through the mash, realised didn't have any milk.
Ooh. Okay.
So it was a dry mash.
What kind of milk would you put in mash?
Would have put in, yeah.
Pardon?
Soy milk. Soy milk. Unsweetened soy milk. I am a vegan man.
Yeah. Do you not have like a vegan spread like margarine or something?
Yeah, we got butter in there, flour in there, that's in there. But you still need a milk to wet it up, there, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So what? You just had a dry mash?
I had a dry mash, some vegan sausages. No sauce. The bangers and dry mash. I didn't have any sauce. Although what we've been getting into, the kids to get into, because they are absolutely addicted to ketchup, is you can get that zero stuff now.
It's just zero sugar
and salt, and they don't know the difference. Yeah,
good.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
There's a Bluey episode like that actually,
yes.
Where the dad's eating normal ketchup and Bluey's eating zero.
But
ketchup.
they do know the difference though, don't they? Because they then taste it and they're like, the real stuff. Yeah.
That's the real stuff. So what have you been consuming recently?
Very recently, like sort of 10 minutes ago, because it was bedtime, I'm reading my daughter the Mary Poppins books. The series of books that the films were based on, and she's quite hardcore in the books. She's not as kind of Julie Andrews brought a lot of charm to her and kind of like softened around the edges, but she's pretty brutal.
Oh right.
Yeah, that was. Have you ever watched there's that Disney film with Tom Hanks and
Saving Mr. Banks?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's good.
Yeah. And you realise it was an absolute mission to try and, because we watched the documentaries that we're big on Poppins in this house now, because my daughter's such a mega fan, and we watched the documentary, the making of, and P.L. Travers was like pulling teeth and fair play to her as well, because it was like it was her baby, but what was kind of amazing about it is that Walt Disney was just desperate to adapt this thing. It became his kind of like his real pride and joy, and aren't we grateful he did all these years later?
Yeah. Did you enjoy Mary Poppins Returns?
Yeah, really did. And what's interesting about reading the books is that you see where they've taken. It's not like they kind of just completely made up a new, like they did go back to the source material to then create the new story. Yeah, it's very moving, actually. Returns. And there's that character at the end, the balloon lady. Do you remember
Yeah.
her? Angela Lansbury
Yeah,
plays
that's
her.
Angela Lansbury, yeah. It was supposed to be Julie Andrews, wasn't it?
Exactly. But she said that
Yeah.
she wanted to give she didn't want to take the glory away
Yeah.
from the lady playing
Emily
Mary
Blunt.
Poppins, Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Memorable performance. No, I thought it was great. I watched that because that
It was
was
brilliant.
out when I worked in a cinema, and it was Christmas 2019, I think, where it was just like we had like a film out that kind of covered every like age group basically, and so we were rammed all day. But then Mary Poppins was on the biggest screen, but then for some reason, come to 8 o'clock, nobody wanted to watch it. Like you put one on at 8 o'clock and it would be dead. So sometimes I'd finish work and I ended up watching that movie with like 5 people in the big screen because
Whilst
it was
everyone
just a
else was
normal show.
watching Die Hard next door.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't remember what else was out. I think Frozen 2 and Cats, that crazy
Yeah,
version of Cats. I've still not seen that. And I can't remember. It was a long time ago now. But yeah, it was actually quite nice watching films in that big screen when it's not too busy. So it was
yeah.
good. So you were on tour at the moment.
I am.
So what's your living situation when you're on tour? Are you in a hotel?
So basically, yeah. So I'm an actor. For those of you who don't know,
Yeah, I know.
and I'm currently touring a show. Yeah, basically the deal is that they give you a certain amount of money, and then you're meant to spend that money how you wish. So if you
Oh, right, okay.
want to kind of spank it all on an Airbnb, you can, or you can do like as I did when we were in Brighton. I stayed a couple of nights in Brighton and then commuted home to see the kids because it was just about doable when I didn't have matinees. But yeah, so that's the. But I mean, in terms of consuming stuff, I don't like when I'm working like that. I find it hard to really because me and Natalie don't have evenings together.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of kids' films in the day. When I'm back at the weekends, we did actually. To be fair, we actually just managed to watch One Battle After Another. We rented it, and as per the usual parent, you only have an hour before you go to bed. We watched it in 2 sittings, which isn't the ideal way to watch a movie, but
Oh,
you have to these days.
yeah,
You do what you
it
can.
happens. Yeah, that's how it is.
And
Did you enjoy it?
yeah, hot take. After it just cleaned up at the Oscars, it's a good film. It's
That's it.
really
We've
good.
really got our
It's
finger on the
really
pulse
good.
on this show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've
No,
still
it's
not
brilliant.
seen
It's
it.
just like it is like, rent it. It is fantastic. It feels like what Sean Penn is doing is extraordinary. It's just like he's like a kind of blood vessel that's like constantly threatening to pop. That's the feeling
Yeah.
of his performance. It's just like so intense. And Leo is it's almost like a kind of like a Big Lebowski if he was in an action movie. Like that's the feeling. It's kind of
The dude in an action film.
completely
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
that's actually
Um,
sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's like it speaks to what's happening in America and in the world in a really like fun, unsettling kind of romp way, rather than it being anything too like it is heavy, but it kind of it delivers it in such a brilliantly cinematic way that it's yeah, I can see why it's done as well as it has.
Yeah, I think maybe we will rent it. We've got, as I've said probably every week, got Sky Movies at the moment, and it's not on there, but Sinners is on there. Still haven't seen that, but
No, I've not seen it
yeah,
yet.
but yeah, we did actually. I tell you what, I watched 2 weeks ago for the first time
Tell me.
because I saw it on Sky Movies, and I thought I've never seen this, and I really want to. And it was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Have you seen it
No,
with John
is that
Candy and Steve Martin?
yeah, one of
Oh, it
Natalie's
was
favorites.
so. I can see why.
Yeah,
I can see Natalie, your wife, would absolutely.
yeah.
That's right up her street.
She's a massive Martin head.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. He
yeah,
is an absolute master of
yeah,
just playing a straight man who just basically makes a facial expression, and that's hilarious. But like hardly even moves his face.
yeah.
Is excellent, and John Candy is just so good in it.
I know.
And it was just really good fun. And then like, it's great. I mean, so I recommend it to anyone. It came out in 1986, the year I was born, but really up to date on this show. But yeah, it was great. Natalie loves it, but you've never seen it. Then I
I've never
recommend
seen
you
it.
watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, Father of the Bride's another big one for her as well, which we rewatched. I mean, he is just. I've not seen loads of only Murder in the Building, but watched that
I've not.
documentary about him. Did you see it on Apple?
No, I don't have Apple.
Fine,
Do you have all the
fine.
streaming services?
We've got quite a few of them, yeah, and quite bad at like kind of doing that thing of tactical cancelling.
Could
But
you?
yeah, in fact, name one and we probably have it.
Could that'll be a fun game. You, as an actor, could you charge that as an expense because it's like you need it for research?
I'm confidently going to say yes, and just hope that you don't have anyone from HMRC listening that is going to come and get me for that.
I think you could, you know.
I
I think you could.
I do. I know. I genuinely do,
Right.
and you can.
Yeah, yeah. Good stuff. So what about music? Are you still listening to? Are you still jamming to funk rock?
Yeah. Less so specifically to punk rock. As it's St. Patrick's Day, I have been listening to few kind of like playing some Irish music to the kids.
Dropkick Murphys.
I've got a bit of Dropkick Murphys, yeah, but also actually
Yeah.
speaking of Dropkick Murphys, there's a band called The Scratch. Have you heard of them?
No.
I came across them listening, watching. Often is the case these days for me in music. It's like I'm watching something and then a song plays and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I have to look it up. And I don't have Shazam, so then I have to go and like search, the show and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
There was this. I was watching Say Nothing. Have you heard of? You don't have Disney, do you? Have you heard it? It was on. It was actually.
I
It was on.
did.
It was on Channel 4. It's been subsequently screened on Channel 4, as is the nature of the business at the moment. Less content is being made, so lots of shows that are being made for different platforms are then being bought by another platform and then kind of shown on that. So they bought Say Nothing and put it on Channel 4 recently. It's an amazing drama about the the IRA basically in the 70s. It's kind of like it's like them. Some of the key players, including Jerry Adams and his alleged involvement in the IRA, I should hasten to add, in the 70s, and then it kind of like shows them like grown up because they're like kids. That's the amazing thing about the show is that you realize how young they were. They're kind of a lot of these people who were radicalized, caught up in a movement like as almost teenagers. Anyway, there's this episode where they play this brilliant song which is called Shanachie, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then looked it up, and they're called The Scratch, and they're a Dublin-based kind of trad metal fusion.
Sounds like something you would like. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not traditionally a kind of metalhead, but it was. I was like, it was the kind of thing where I was doing. I suddenly just got into their back catalogue. I was like, yeah, it's heavy. Like they're also kind of punky. They're also kind of. I've seen them described as prog rock, which I don't really know what that means, but it was like, I'm doing the washing up, kind of properly headbanging, kind of saying to nothing, oh my god, they're amazing, and it's like getting into a band in a way that I haven't for ages, like, including obviously Fontaines and is those obvious kind of heroes, saviors of guitar music. Yeah, it felt like one of those sort of rare moments where you go, whoa, it's connected with me, probably because it's connecting with my youthful tastes. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say when you were younger, when we were younger, sorry, you would get obsessed by musical artists. Remember how much you loved Gallows?
Got obsessed with Gallows. Appeared in one of their music videos, not as an artiste, I may say, just as someone different. as a someone at the front of the mosh pit. I got on stage with them once in Cardiff. It was one of those points to the point where it's a bit sad in a way. I think they kind of recognised what it was. Please don't come to our gigs. And then on the other side of the spectrum, the Killers. There you go. Absolutely. I think it was a recording of the Jonathan Ross show that I went to. Don't know even how I ended up going to that. And they were playing. That was their first song. It might have been like Jenny Was a Friend of Mine or something. It was from that first album, and I was like, who are you and what are you doing here?
Why are you here? I mean, I actually really enjoyed that first album. It was good. So,
what about you? Any hot recommendation?
Yes, me and Amy started watching a show on Netflix the other night, and I wanted to make a note of the name of it because it was good, and I have completely forgotten the name of it. I've only watched one episode. It's made by the writer of Derry Girls.
I know what you're going to say How to Get to Heaven from Belfast.
Yes. Have you seen it?
I haven't, because Natalie did that classic thing, which is absolutely legitimate when I'm away working, where she started watching it. And then when I was back, I was like, any chance you could go from the first episode again? She was like, nah. She's probably watching it now.
I recommend it. Do you know what? It actually reminds me a little bit. So we were I don't know if you mind me talking about this on the podcast, but we were kind of talking about writing. We used to try and write, we used to write comedy together when we were younger. And so last year we were talking about writing something again, and we were talking about, we're now at this age, the juxtaposition of what our friendships were like when we were in our late teens and what our friendships are like now. So on that show, we were talking about how can we get the people back together, and we said, well, maybe if one of them dies. Well, that's exactly what happens on this show.
Oh man, it keeps happening.
I know, they've stolen our best idea. But it's really well done the way they've done it on the show as well. Yeah, I know. Damn it, we should have just done it. And so they're friends. They're like this. It's four women, but one of them's passed away, and so the other three get back together. And they were all friends at school, and obviously they live quite different lives now. But they have this. They just instantly fall back into being old friends again, even though they actually all are quite different. And they go to, I guess, their hometown again. And actually, what's the guy from Father Ted? Arnold O'Hanlon. I really garbled that. I really garbled that. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So he's in it, just like a cameo. Well, in the first episode, I don't know if he's in it more later on, but yeah, he's just like the owner of a hotel, which is quite funny. And it's great. Yeah, the humor in it's really, really good. It's really kind of eerie. It's it's even like a little bit of a horror in parts. It's a bit creepy.
Cool. Nice.
Like the family that are in it, the family of the girl that's passed away are a bit weird, but I've only seen the first episode. So, yeah, I'm intrigued to see more of that. And the soundtrack was good as well.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You've sold it to me.
Oh, okay. You've charmed me.
You've charmed me. I'll have to watch it on a train on the way to one of these different venues around the UK.
We also started a show the other day because multiple people kept recommending it to me, and that's Small Profits. Have you watched that yet?
Oh yeah, we've watched a couple of episodes of that. Yeah.
Yeah, same. We watched 2 episodes of that so far. It's all right. It's fine. Quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, it's got Michael Palin in it, which is great.
I know. Although, didn't it blow your mind when you were like, hang on a minute, to be the same age as... Sorry, he's meant to be Piers Quigley's dad. Because you're just like, that's not... But then actually, you realise that Palin just probably looks quite good for his age, doesn't he? Because he probably is. Yeah. Is he? In his 80s?
It's got to be in his 80s, surely. I mean, my dad's in his 70s.
What a head of hair.
Yeah,
what a head of hair.
Jealous.
Yeah, I was looking at...
You should just send him a letter saying that.
How do you
Michael Palin, what a head of hair. Love Ciarán. I also, I was watching it at first and I was like, oh, Mackenzie Crook's character is quite funny. And then I was just like, hang on a sec. He could just be Gareth in the future. That's what he does now.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that.
It did really. And I wonder if he was actually referencing that or not. That kind of crossed my mind because there is that kind of, sort of pedantry.
When you are known for such a well-known character, it's sometimes hard to do anything without referencing it, to be honest.
Yeah, although it felt like setting it in that kind of very, there's the kind of mundanity of that world there, and that kind of his obsession with, have you taken your break? Have you gone on your break yet? It feels like that honestly. Is like, I was just going to say that that's, I can so imagine Gareth saying that, like when he takes over.
What I was going to say is when I was a manager at the cinema, that was what I honestly, constantly, it was just like all I said to people, have you been on your break yet? And then people will come to me at like 10 o'clock and they'll be like, haven't been on my break yet. And I'll be like, oh, why haven't you been on your break yet? So it was constant.
So what would that mean then? If you're not on your break right up until the end of the day, then
they would need to sit down and have something to eat. Yeah, but sometimes, you want to try and time it.
Yeah, okay.
So if you've got a film that's gone in and you want to have their break before the film comes out, or like if you've got some busy films coming, like take your break now, so then we can, work. Don't want you to take your break whilst we're busy, or at the end of the night when everybody's left, because then there's less people turning up, that kind of stuff. See, it is mundane.
But also important. How much autonomy does the break taker have over when they take the break?
Good question. They would always ask, I suppose, a superior. It depends how... This is getting really into the mundane details. It depends how long their shift is, what age they are, how long the break is. And then, really it's kind of, most people would say, can I take my break now? And I would say, yes. That's usually the way it went.
But would people do it did you notice people doing it, after they'd had a coffee, for example? Were they timing it with going to the toilet? Or was it just like when things looked like they were about to get busy, did people go, let me have a break?
No, not really. They were mainly, not that stupid. Why are you on your break? Need you out here. Stop.
Not when they're in the toilet.
Yeah. No. I'll be banging on the door. Let me in. So if you were on a desert island, which dessert would you eat first?
So the big dessert in my life, is my mum's cheesecake. That's always been the one that is kind of taken on almost a mythical status in my kind of family. It's the one that I always thought that if I was on death row, I would want for my last meal. But then I thought it would make me too sad because there you'd be eating this thing that reminded you of your mum. And also, I watched a documentary, a brilliant, I think it was a Werner Herzog documentary about death row. And one of the things that they were saying about most people can't, they ask their final meal and they don't touch it. Like they, apart from one story where this guy basically right at the last minute was given, like they can, it's kind of so dramatic. Someone was able to like call and say that they basically had an appeal right at the last minute, and he hadn't touched his last meal. And then they're like, "No, there's appeal." And they was like, can I eat that then?" And he went back and he gobbled the whole thing up. I just remember it's such an amazing, just like the relief of it.
So he actually got to eat his last meal, and then what happened afterwards? Did he win the appeal?
That's as far as I remembered. I hope that he did. That wasn't his last meal. Well, it wouldn't have been. I'm sure he ate again at least until his appeal. But anyway,
in the morning, yeah. Breakfast the next day.
He would have done.
I've got a question about this then. So you're vegan. So when was the last time you ate your mum's cheesecake?
Well, to be fair, she did once make a vegan version, and it was great. I wouldn't have known the difference.
How did she make a vegan cheesecake?
You can get Philadelphia do a vegan version.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah.
But nice. I think there were a few bits and bobs that she had to do differently. But yeah, it would be.
Does it have a base?
Yeah, buttery biscuit base.
Yeah. Nice.
Of course.
And is it just like a baked cheesecake, like New York style, with a base, or is it fruity?
Yeah, it tends to be fruity. It tends to be lemony is what she goes for. It's like crack. I mean, like.
I never knew this actually about your mum.
Really?
No, I know.
Next time,
I feel like I've missed out. So
I'll ask her to make one. Well, never say never. Come on,
get her to send one in the post. So if you were on. If you were on death row, would you eat a vegan meal now? If you were on death row, or would you eat your mum's proper cheesecake? Would you get her to make a vegan?
No, I think I'd still ask her to make a vegan version because even though I'm dying, the planet shouldn't have to. No, I'm not one of those preachy ones. I promise, I'm not. I'm
totally keeping that up.
In fact, but genuinely, this job that I'm on at the moment, this is a great compliment to a vegan. Most people, I've been on it since January, and every single person that's found out, and I haven't told them, they found out through the various different means that I'm a vegan. Oh my God, you're a vegan. I'm like, yeah, I am. Because the joke is, how do you know if someone's a vegan? They'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was at one of my cousin's weddings in Ireland, and the punchline, so her brother, my other cousin, was the MC, and he was doing a speech, and the punchline to one of his jokes about one of her ex-boyfriends was that he was a vegan, and that was it. And it got a huge laugh. And I was just like, I was looking around going, guys. It was like, there was no one not laughing. Yeah,
I might try that one. I don't think it would really work though. It would be like, so what?
You got to know your audience.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Very true. So I've got another question for you.
I was just going to ask, have you ever given thought to your death row meal or your last meal?
No, but I was thinking that actually that it could be another question that I ask people on this, which is because it's different to say like, on off menu, which is your dream restaurant, but your that's completely different. Your death row meal, it might be something just really comforting that you want, or it could be something that you just really want to. That you've never had, do you want to try one time before you die?
No, but that would be bad, wouldn't it? I'd probably go for pizza followed by cheesecake.
Yeah, I mean that's good.
Yard sale pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is good. I mean I would, because I try to avoid eating gluten because it doesn't really agree with me very well. I mean, I could have a pizza because I'm probably not going to actually worry about the pain in my stomach or my gut.
No, exactly.
Could have peacefully pass away. Yeah. But I think that might be a new question. Maybe I'll switch out the dessert island for a death row meal.
Nice.
People know it's coming. They can think about it. So I also had another question for you. To this one, I let you mull over for a few days. I don't know if you have, if you've forgotten. So if you had a time machine, you have not mulled over. That's
no,
right.
I have.
Well,
I have mulled over.
You have mulled over. Okay, good. If you had a time machine, where would you go back to, or when would you go back to? Sorry.
Well, interestingly, it would be the past. I don't think I'd be picking the future because I want to keep it a surprise.
Do you know what? To be honest, I hadn't even considered going into the future. I always just assumed
No,
the
well then
past.
you just because also then you just start getting into all sorts of like you don't. Do you want to know? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's true.
Future wise, no.
Yeah.
And then I thought, so like in terms of cultural hotspots of the past. Firstly, I was like, well, go see the Beatles at the Cavern. But then I was like,
Hmm.
would it be even better to see the Beatles in Hamburg? But then I was like, because you get them doing 10-hour sets, but then it's mainly covers, so you
You'd be
you
like,
get to
play
see them
Hey
in a way.
Jude. And they'd be like, what?
Yeah,
What's Hey
exactly.
Jude?
Have you seen that film Yesterday? Which is,
Yeah.
do you know the one? Yeah. Kind
Yeah.
of like I really enjoyed the idea of what I loved about it was like that notion of kind of what it must have been like to just hear those songs for the first time as they're coming out.
Yeah.
That must have been an extraordinary thing. Because
Yeah,
we were able to
definitely.
just kind of discover them all in in a row. I found my parents' best of collection and just that's what got me onto it. But
I got into the Beatles um, after listening to the CD one in the Slug and Lettuce when I worked there when I was 18. My parents didn't really
the
listen
number
to the
ones
Beatles.
collection. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like obviously I knew all the big hits, but I didn't really know much. And there was loads on there that I'd never heard Lady Madonna before, and like
Right.
stuff like that. And I was like 18. I was like, how have I got this far in my life? And then it made me start listening to them. And then obviously I was just like, wow, this is like it's just nuts. I would listen to it now all the time. I put on
Yeah.
Revolver recently, and I'm like, man, this could have been made yesterday. It still sounds
I
so
know.
fresh.
It's
Yeah,
crazy. I
it
have
is
a theory
nuts.
that Helter Skelter was the origin of heavy metal.
Well, yeah.
I'm
I
sure I'm
mean,
not the only one
I
to
mean,
say it.
I remember playing that to Jim Pickles. It was pretty late at night, maybe even been morning, to be honest. And he'd never heard it. This was when we were like 21, and his response was, "It's like they're looking into a window of the future." When he heard that song, which is
Well,
kind
you
of
do
true.
get
If
that,
people don't know the song,
but
sorry.
yeah, well, no, you get that though, and I find that like with that kind of song, or like when you see certain acting styles at a period when everyone else was doing something completely different, like Brando or Jimmy Stewart or something, you
Mm.
go, "What the hell? You're from now." But then, actually, what it is that they had the foresight or whatever it was to to see like yeah, it's kind of I was going to go down an acting nerd route there that I'm just
Go.
gonna
No,
I'm just
man,
gonna
go for it.
swerve.
No, 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 no. Go
Well,
down the acting nerd route.
I just think that, like, to an extent, like, what's kind of interesting about acting is that with your Brandos or whoever, they kind of stumbled upon something that, yes, styles have changed to an extent, especially in comedy, but with kind of just like straight acting, you, you kind of just found the thing. Or like people like that generation of kind of like inverted commas method actors sort of found the thing, and we're still doing it, you know? And that,
Mm.
yeah, whereas music is, I don't know, it's changing all the time still in a way that I
Music,
kind of don't understand.
yeah, changes with technology though, I find. You see what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, if you think back to like the 50s or whatever, they were playing what they could, and, with the guitar, but then, by the time you get to now, like when on Nick's episode, he described the music that he was listening to as post laptop, which is just like, what is that a genre? And he said it with all seriousness as well. I
Wow.
was like, that's ridiculous. So what was it that Brando was doing that made him like stand out from everybody back then?
Well, I mean, he was just it's like I mean, he wasn't the only actor that was doing it at the time, but he was kind of obviously one of the most. I mean, James Dean was another example, but I think Brando really defines it. There's actually for any real nerds out there, there's a book, an amazing book called The Method by Isaac Butler, and I was given it by my sister and brother-in-law as a Christmas present 2 years ago, and it's like it's absolutely incredible because it starts with and you did GCSE drama, about Stanislavski, right?
Mm.
He's kind
Yep.
of considered the kind of one of the founding fathers of naturalism, and it kind of chronicles that journey from coming from Russia, where like acting style back then, the old days, was like very histrionic and gesture based and kind of like showing emotion, and it's sort of it kind of started this kind of wave to what we now understand of how you make things feel real. And I think that's the thing that Brando was doing, and he was just so good at it, and also just full of charisma that I think he kind of brought that to a whole new generation. But the book
Mm.
kind of follows, yeah, starts like turn of the century and then goes with it to New York and through all the schisms about the different kinds of method acting, Lee Strasberg's school, and kind of then you see then how we've ended up with De Niro, and this thing that we think about as method acting of like kind of someone living in their character the whole time 24/7 isn't really what it means. It's more just about that kind of thing of finding, feels like it's an acting lecture now, finding what are you trying to do to the other person. And it's the same writing. It's that kind of thing of what do they want, and that's the joke about acting. What's my motivation? But that if you don't know that really, then you can't do it.
You're just reading words
Often.
otherwise. Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, there's something, yeah. There's kind of instinct and other things that are at play as well, but that's the root of it.
I think so. When you think about when Brando was acting and stuff like that, the studios and cinema was absolutely massive because it was basically the only medium. Like TV had just started becoming a thing, but it wasn't
Yeah,
like what it
yeah,
became. So,
yeah,
there was studios were pumping out movies that would have been people who were acting in a very certain way, kind of with probably, I'm assuming, very affected voices, and, it just being like, this is a movie and this is what we're doing. This is a cowboy movie and you're now cowboys. Do you see what I mean? But they're
yeah,
just acting,
yeah.
but they're not actually being a cowboy, if you see what I mean.
Yes,
And is
yeah.
that kind of, so is that why he kind of stuck out from the crowd? Is that the difference?
Well, I think it's probably like, I think maybe it's even more like, if you think also film acting with dialogue was quite a new thing,
Mm,
because obviously you had the silent movies for so long where you relied so heavily on someone's ability to tell a story. I mean, actually, a lot of what film acting in terms of like how you can tell an emotional story through your eyes was happening in that silent period, but also, performances were bigger because you didn't have the words to sell them.
mm,
Whereas, then when the talkies came in, dialogue almost became more theatrical, I think. And, it was almost a bit more like, so much of theatre is the power of the word. But I think that, what's great about film is that if you can tell, I was kind of reading a brilliant book about filmmaking fairly recently, which is like, if you can tell the story of a scene without any dialogue first, do it. Like that's
mm.
the, you know, and I think that Benicio del Toro he's a because he's in one battle after another. I was listening to him talking the other day, and again, it's that thing of if you can say it with a look, like silence, like if you can not speak and tell the story, that's better.
Absolutely.
It's kind of fascinating, yeah,
I think I remember
very.
watching No Country for Old Men for the first time back in the day, and I'm fairly certain there's no dialogue for about what felt like half an hour at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I started like sitting in my chair normally, and I was on the edge of my seat, like just what was going on. I can't quite remember. It's like a chase scene or something with Josh Brolin or whatever. But anyway, it was
Yeah.
just excellent filmmaking that just had me absolutely gripped, and no one had really said anything. I was
No,
just telling
and
a
those are
story.
the Coen brothers who are like, masters of dialogue too.
Mm,
The same is true of actually one battle after another. This whole massive, amazing cinematic sequences where no one's speaking, and
mm.
it's so thrilling. But yeah,
You're fame.
yeah,
I was going to say you're famously in a scene in Peaky Blinders where there's no dialogue.
yes, yep.
And that's not just because you don't have any
Famously,
lines. You're in
I
it for
think I
more than
maybe
5
shouted.
seconds.
Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, it's a very cool sequence, which we shot it over about I want to say 5 or 6 days, predominantly in Manchester. It was in the last season. It was the big shootout with Arthur Shelby. I was playing an IRA guy who was there to. Spoiler if you've not seen the last series.
Well, people might be watching it now actually to
Oh
refresh.
yeah, for the movie. But
Yeah.
I had the honor of having the most squibs. Do you know what squibs are?
I know
They're
what squibs
like
are.
the you know what squibs are.
I know what
It's
squibs are, but
the
people probably don't know what squibs are.
well, squibs are the bits, the kind of like the explosive bits that pop that you wear under your costume if you're getting shot. You don't always have
Mm.
them. Sometimes they have them in posts, but in my case, they kind of like rigged me up with. I think it was over 20, and it was basically it looked like a kind of like suicide bomber's vest, basically that they put
Yeah,
then under
true.
my costume. And
Yeah.
the kind of guys that had made it obviously had got so much effort and like spent so much time to get it right that when it came to shooting it, I was kind of chilled because I've I've died in lots of kind of yeah hilarious different gruesome ways. I got impaled by a piece of farming equipment in one thing. Rugby tackled out of a barn window and impaled on a piece of farming equipment
By Martin
was one
Clunes.
thing. Not by Martin Clunes, but that was the thing with Martin Clunes.
Oh, shame.
I was playing an evil farmer. Yeah, and I've had squibs before because I've executed in the chest before in a gangland execution. But this was like, yeah, like they'd never done it on Peaky Blinders, which is saying something. And basically, the guys who were rigging me up with it were like, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. You're making me nervous. It's because you're worried that like I'll like I was about to say fluff my lines. I didn't have a line. I just had to shout at that point. But something would go wrong technically, and then they wouldn't be able to use it. But the reality is, it was fine. We practiced it loads, and then you have one take when you're doing stuff like that. I was burned alive in The Last Kingdom, and interesting fact about being burned alive. They had a dummy that they set fire to, but they also had a stuntman, and the stuntman did it once perfectly, and they literally they're covered in all this stuff, and they're set alight, and then you have to put them out, and but because they get paid for two goes, because it's so such a risky thing to do, they're like, let's do it again. And the guy, because if you mess it up, like say then something technical goes wrong with on the camera side or whatever, then you'd have to reset, and then it would be really expensive because the stuntman would be able to go, right, I'm now in the equivalent of overtime. But
Yeah.
because they like nailed it, and then it's like, okay, right, that's pretty good, but let's set the guy alight again because you've been paid to do it now. Have you been on your break?
Yeah, that's where Mackenzie Cook's just walking around film sets just saying that the whole time. Good. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
That was a pleasure.
Thank you for your interesting stories. You thought it was nerdy, but actually I thought it was really interesting to listen to, and I think everybody else will as well. So
Good.
I've been, I want to say thank you to everyone for listening again and sending nice messages, and like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Follow the show if you haven't already. Tell your friends. That's a good one. I haven't said that yet. Tell your friends.
Yeah.
And then also, if you want to come on the show, just let me know because it's easier than me texting everybody. So anyway, thanks for coming on, Ciarán.
Pleasure.
Nice.
Thanks,
It's
Alex.
nice to chat. That's my new catchphrase. It's nice to chat.
Ooh.